You can change your brain. This is a fact. It's called rewiring. It's called neuroplasticity. And what we're talking about today, I am talking with Stu Morris, and he is one of the experts in cognitive longevity. And this is near and dear to my heart. And just like we talk about health span versus lifespan, cognitive longevity versus this idea that somehow we have to have a decline in our age. And Stu says, no, we don't. So let's talk about that. Hi, Stu.
Hey, John, thanks very much for having me on. I love your podcasts. I do about 60 podcasts a year, and you have a great podcast.
Well,
so
thank
you very much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
You've done a lot. You were an EMT. I looked at your book. In fact, I just bought your book today, your Bounce Back Better book. So I'm looking forward to reading that. But you were 20 years in an emergency room, right?
Yep, 22. Yeah,
22. And you've also owned dementia and memory care facilities for 25 years. So
memory. I've been about 25, 26 years now. Memory care facilities. Yep, sure have.
So you got a little bit of experience with this stuff.
Been knee deep in the memory game for a long time, that's for sure.
So what is something that everybody knows that isn't true about our brains, and specifically in your area of neuroplasticity?
Well, that's a great question. It's kind of a tough question because what does everybody know? I don't know, but I do know that I don't know a lot. So we could start there for sure. But have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you came in?
Oh, heck yes.
Can't we all relate to that, right? And I'm tired of ageism, and I'm rewriting the story concerning growing older and cognitive longevity because one has nothing to do with the other. And that's at over51.com. That's what we do. We just provide really simple, actionable solutions to cognitive challenges by really leading the movement in neurogenesis over 51. The power of lifelong learning, super important. Keep your brain nice and malleable. And the brain's remarkable ability for growth and renewal. We only do one thing. That's all we do. We do neuroplasticity solutions for cognitive longevity. We got a one symbol band. And because you just don't need to settle for the myths of aging anymore, and because your brain can keep evolving. So we always say cognitive longevity is a simple habit. A habit is something nobody ever taught you how to do a habit. Your brain created those early and often. And you didn't struggle over tying your shoes. You just had trouble at the beginning until your brain said, we got this. Right? So it's a simple habit. Longevity is a simple habit. And so at over 51, our call to action is very clear. This is what we do. We adopt intelligent cognitive communication that works with your neurology to naturally create empowering habits that lead to a destiny of design and a legacy with some impact. And that's the one thing we do. Nice. And that's kind of what neuroplasticity is.
Okay, so big word there. In case everybody's not familiar, the way I think of neuroplasticity is the brain rewires itself. When we learn something new, the brain creates a pathway, and it takes time, like tying your shoes you were talking about. It builds over time. It creates a pathway, and the pathway gets easier for the signals to travel because it gets thicker or bigger or deeper or something. Right?
Yeah, more well-worn, 100%.
And then when we stop doing something, the brain will take that apart and it'll build a different pathway for something we do differently, right? Is this neuroplasticity?
That is indeed. So those are two things that you touched on there. The second one was when you're not using something, your brain will trim it or prune it, which is called cognitive pruning. And so, things you don't need to know, which is, we were talking in the green room earlier, and we were just talking about how social media, and there's more information that comes across our eyes, our senses in a day than there was in 20 lifetimes of our great grandfather.
Yeah,
there's just so much, and our brains. Have you heard the expression lizard brain? It's your lizard brain. It's your deep part. So we still have the lizard brain, but we are not living in a lizard world. Right.
Our current survival is not constantly
whatever the AI world and the online world and the digital world, and we got a lot of information coming at us all the time. Our brain's not naturally wired that way. Can it be? Yeah. Can we help it along? Yeah. Can we slow down to work with our brain rather than always trying to force more onto it? Yes. And that's the first part you were talking about, is you absolutely can. You can learn and you can unlearn to improve your neuroplasticity. That's really insightful of you, John. That's a great question.
Thanks. I mean, I said this was near and dear to my heart. This is what we, in our business Cooter Consulting Group, we feel like business owners are, just like you were talking about, we're faced with so much information. There's so much change. The pace of change is happening so fast, and we have to adapt. And thinking about how we think, or metacognition, is a highly leverageable spot, right? Because at the basis of everything we do, there's a thought before we act. Hopefully. And the more we can be intentional about the things that matter and let tying our shoes be automatic, the more effective we're going to be in life and business. And so I love that we're having this conversation.
Oh, good. Me too. I'm having fun. And that's a rule of mine. I'm old enough that I'm not going to do it if I can't have fun. It's already been a lot of fun. So, well, fantastic.
How did you get here? How did you get into?
Well, that's a fun question. And I promise it won't take this long, but I was born in a small town, about 800 people, a little farming community. When I was 5, my Nana came over from London. She was amazing. She was a nurse on a hospital ship. She traveled the world 9 times. She spoke 5 languages. She could tell a story and would mesmerize a room. She was super sophisticated, classy, British, just as brilliant British accent. And she'd say the best things, like how you doing today? Like, oh, I'm grateful, thank you. How are you? Like, things that would just kind of keep you off center. She was so smart. Oh my gosh. She didn't count Latin as a language that she knew because it was dead. So she was a nurse and trained nurses on the hospital ship, and she was my babysitter. Now, when she got to the States, my mom took me by the hand. It was really serious. And she sat me down in her bed and said, I need you to take care of Nana. And at 5, I thought, I'll take care of Nana. No sweat, I got this. Well, Nana was my babysitter, but more than that, really my dearest friend. It's a small town. We walked for hours. We'd walk along the creek. And she was really concerned with, well, how she put it to my dad was, you Yanks don't know how to think. Okay. I don't know how well that went across with him, but I remember saying that. What she meant was, we don't ask questions, or at least I didn't. I wasn't asking questions, and I wasn't thinking and making a design of thinking. And that was really important to her. And so she asked my dad if she could teach us kids like how to think like a nurse, or how to think like a thinker. And we did. And we did. And I was always with my Nana. So she taught me all that, and it was a lot of fun. That summer, about 3 weeks after my 10th birthday, my dad died. And my mom was from London also, but was living in America, no job, and didn't have any skills. And that same summer, my Nana, we left church and couldn't find her. And the congregation searched for an hour, and I found her in the back of a wrong car. And she had the symptoms of dementia, and we didn't know what it was or how to do it. But for the next 6 months, I took care of my Nana, and I was her nurse, and I took care of her, and I cleaned dirty beds and took care of her, everything, and fed her. And dementia just dismantled her, and she was so vibrant. So I didn't make a big decision. I was 10, 15 years old, right? But I think that probably, what I've done since I graduated with a degree in business, but my freshman year I became an EMT, and I've been taking care of people since I was 20. And so I think that, rubbed off on me a bit. I really do enjoy helping folks. And right now we're just on this precipice with neuroscience and the section of neuroscience and neuroplasticity and how we can keep our brains malleable. And I'm doing an interview with a young lady in North Carolina in next month, 102 years old. And John, she's more plastic than you and I. She's sharp as a tack, and she has deep relationships. And the big thing in her life, it wasn't stressful. She didn't lead a stressful life. Man, we're stressed over Facebook or something stupid, right? I mean, there's just so many things coming at us. We need some rest for our brains. So we approach this in a couple of different fashions. We got a lot to talk about it, but we only do the one thing. And we only do that one thing, I think, because somehow that got ingrained in me to just help people. My Nana didn't teach me how to care for people. She taught me how to care about people. Kind of a thing.
Ooh,
I think she had a real
nice.
huge heart for that.
Yeah. Well,
So I think that's where I started, something like that.
very cool. What an inspiration, and what a challenge at the same time. Well, I've got a little bit of experience with dementia. You know, my mother went through dementia, and my wife and I together, thank God, we're caretakers for nearly 10 years, and we've been through that process. So I've got a little bit of experience with that. And at one point, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's. It turns out not to be true Parkinson's, but anyway, we participated in a Parkinson's support group that was revolutionary. I believe this was 2011, so I think it was pretty new. And this guy had figured out that dancing and moving to music and things like that really helped delay that progression of the disease. Yep. And so I know it's kind of adjacent. It's really not. That's not about neuroplasticity exactly, but there's an element of it, I think, there.
Well, it's definitely about cognitive decline, which is one of the things neuroplasticity can prevent. So I think we're on a good track.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
We're here. Well, I know that part of your book was you were talking about working with CEOs and people that are in business that are trying to stay sharp as they age. I mean, it seems like today 40 is the new 50 or 55 as far as in the workplace. You're starting to get old and replaced at 40, and yet people are living to 90. So I don't know where we're going with that, but you mentioned in one of your little blurbs a secret technique used by CEOs to make $1 million decisions.
Oh, it was a lie. No, I'm joking. No, absolutely. I don't know how secret it is. It's just like neuroplasticity. I mean, what do you call it when someone remembers things quickly and easily right off the top of their head, and in the moment that they need it? What is that person called?
Amazing, usually.
Right, or smart a lot of times.
Yeah, smart.
Right? And we have neuroscience research that shows how to increase your emotional quotient, which is a big part of being smart.
Yes.
So I can make you smarter. No, but you kind of can. So it's not so much really a secret as just people just don't use it, but it is something that technique that is referred to as cognitive reframing, and it's through perspective shifting though. Mm-hmm. So a big part of how you learn, obviously everything how you learn, comes through your senses. And your perspective, not just how you see it, which was normally how we think about perspective, but some people can touch something and say, well, that's warm. And someone else will say, no, it feels normal. And it's not, there's vagary because people have different amounts of what a touch can be a perspective on something, especially if you're blind, right? So perspective is all your senses. So we want to kind of think of it that way, right? So this it's cognitive reframing through that perspective shifting. So we'll take a CEO who has a big decision to make, mm-hmm. and CEOs put themselves deliberately into multiple viewpoints. They often do that. They have people that are naysayers, and they want to see all sides of a point, right? But when it's faced with a big decision, they want to consciously analyze it from 3 different, even physiological perspectives. So you sit in a chair, take some deep breaths, close your eyes because it limits the input, mm-hmm. and take some deep breaths and clear your mind, and then attack this problem for an answer from your perspective for about 4 minutes. And then stand up and go to another chair, take 3 or 4 new breaths, close your eyes, sit down, and think of your competition. And then your customer, and then the employee who just started. And if you get about 4 different perspectives on a situation, it's I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's like 70%. It's crazy. It's way up there. It improves the decision making. So it was pretty impressive. And so that's $1 million. I mean, if you can make $1 million decision by making one good decision, That's a $1 million decision maker
You
right there.
bet. Well, and if
That's
you're
why
making a decision that's going to affect 1,000 people, let's say, and their families, there's,
yeah.
the ripple effect is pretty big.
Yeah, here in Silicon Valley, some of our CEOs, they're pretty wealthy. Right?
Heard.
Somebody sneezes and the price of aspirin goes up and down, right?
Oh my goodness. Well, one of the things about memory that I've noticed is you mentioned stress. So when
Oh,
someone puts stress on, or we feel stressed, I'll say, somebody like maybe somebody says, "Are you sure about that?" Or they, which way do I turn? Left or right? Hurry! I need to know right now. That pressure. All of a sudden, my brain just shuts down, and my wife would say the
yeah.
same. It's like if I say it wrong, she shuts down because it's that deer in the headlights. Oh my God, that lizard brain kicks in, I think.
It is. Stop before you die. Yeah. I'm with you.
So is
Yeah.
that part
And
of your
the studies
process?
they've done, I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
Is that part of your process, managing those pressures and stresses in terms of the cognitive, the neuroplasticity?
Yes. Let me kind of say it this way, though. Yes, it is part of the process because you were talking about working with executives. So I write books.
Mm-hmm.
And if you write books and people read them, then they ask you to talk. And then if you go talk, then an executive comes up and goes, "I'd like you to consult." You don't necessarily need to know what you're doing either. Just joking.
You wrote a book.
But anyway, if you know a subject, right? I mean, people want to learn about it. So that's how we would work with somebody like that, is an executive like that. We would kind of meet through a process and have a bit of an assessment for them. But we can't do that online. Like online in our community, really our movement, it's a movement. It's nuts. I mean, every training that I would do with a CEO, or every checklist or notebook or PDF or video or tutorial that I would do with anybody or in the book is available online for free for everybody, right? If you want to work with us, then we just charge you ridiculous amounts of money. But it's super effective, so it's worth. It'll save you money in the long run. It's just crazy expensive to do, but that's okay. Half of it goes to taxes. Just know that.
Uh-huh. Well, and that's
doing my fair share.
You pay you pay with your time, or you pay with your money, right? People buy speed, is the way I've heard it, right? If you can make it happen faster.
And you were saying, 50s and 60s were getting older, but 90s the new level, and it's you're right. The 60 is the new 30, 20ish even. I'll go that way. 25, 30. Right, it's a new 60. So that's we're going to stay alive till 100. Right? No, you and I may not, but we can live a lifestyle now that'll help us do that. And more importantly, like the health span versus the lifespan,
Mm-hmm.
we can live a longer, healthier, more fulfilling life, especially one that you can remember. Is a big part of having a fulfilling life. And so I don't know, that does kind of an offshoot to that question a little bit, but we would do an assessment and we would tackle that problem that they have specifically. But if that's one of them, we can do it. What we can't do is the autonomic nervous system. So heartbeat, respirations, you can do it another way, like monks can lower their heart rate, right? But we don't do that through neuroplasticity. That's a autonomic nervous system function.
Okay. That's fun. I'm telling you, I love this.
I'm glad you love it.
Bounce Back Better. Tell me about Bounce Back Better. I think that came out in March of this year.
Yeah, Bounce Back Better. Well, I was trying. So we had just gone through. We hadn't just gone through, but we had more recently than now, obviously, just come out of COVID, and we had 60 people in rooms and 60 people in the hallways and 60 people in a tent in the parking lot. It's like you didn't always see this. I mean, the traumas are. I didn't work in a hospital with a lot of trauma, very little, but a lot of elderly folks and a lot of like disease. Right, people passed away from diseases, right? And some people could really bounce back really, really well, and some people just crashed hard. It was just horrible. And I didn't mean to really. I just kind of started taking notice of it, And then afterwards, when I no longer work in the emergency department, I just did some research on it. And sure enough, there was, neuroplastic reasons for it. And I thought, I just knew there had to be, right? But I was doing other things at the time. So I wrote about Matt Beggar. So prosilient is being resilient, because boy, during COVID, everyone's, resilient, be resilient, do meditation or do this or do that and be resilient. It'll help you be resilient. I'm like, well, that's great, but it means coming back to the level that you were at. Why live through that trial and learn from it and go back to normal? Right? So prosilient is better than resilient. It's bouncing forward or bouncing back better. And it was hard to explain, so I wrote a book on it because I was tired of explaining it. Just joking. But I needed something more clear to explain it and what it does. It essentially turned into a book of neuroplastic solutions to be resilient. That would have been a good subtitle for it.
Okay.
So, yep, you wish I would have said that first.
And you've got a new book coming out very soon. I say we're recording this in middle of October 2024. So I think I saw that you're hoping to release it in November. Is that right?
I want to do November 1st, but this book it's 10 chapters. So it's really just 12 parts, an introduction, conclusion, 10 chapters. But each chapter is an exceptional individual, a Guinness Book of World Record that, paddleboarded across the Atlantic, a Silicon Valley exit, millionaire who quit everything to start a charity to get plastic out of the ocean. And it's a lot of personalities bring together. I was shooting for 1st November. I think we're going to be pretty close, but I don't know if we're going to hit the 1st November. And then, editors can be a pain in the butt. And so there's a little of that pain in the butt stuff going on too, but what would be nice about it, I'd really like, before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Some things that are more in control than not, but I'm an author, so I'm not in control of my books at all.
Well, and if you're trying to get all those people from all those 10 chapters in the same place for a launch, I can understand that could be.
Yeah. But it'll be a fun launch. It'd be great to get out before Christmas and on Black Friday and all that. And it's that, man, that's an incredible book. It's these 10 extraordinary individuals. This gentleman, a retired Marine captain, and was in Korea, and just his just guiding star, complete, like one. We get this wrong a lot of times because we think integrity means being honest. Integrity means one. It's the Latin root for integer, right? And being one person, the same person at work, at church, at school, at play, at fishing, at night, during the day, when no one's watching. That's what it means. It means being one. And this man is just amazing and does just a tremendous job in talking about values and what they can do. And it's a great book, so many levels. But I guess the publishers are kind of saying that doesn't do what we want it to do. I know you haven't noticed this yet, John, but I love to talk, and the book helps to introduce me more, to do more speaking. It doesn't do that very well. It's a great book for reading, but people don't want to read a book. And so I'm trying to tell the publisher, but the publisher doesn't care. They want the book to do something, and so November 3rd, that's when it's out, or 30th.
Or sometime. Oh, that's great. Yeah, there's some kind of a meme you see.
When it does come out, it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books. I mean, it's everywhere. It's all over, for sure. And it's great. Also, we had this $250 course. Holy smokes, just a really great course. Really tremendous. And we redid the course and put it in the book. So you buy the book for, I don't know, $25 or whatever they're selling it for. But you buy the book and you get the $250 course in the book.
Built in. Wow.
Built in, free. Yep. So it's a great book. So it's going to be super helpful. Yep. A lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it. What else should I be asking? What have I not asked?
We did mention something earlier. We both had a similar upbringing where we were touched by dementia early. on, or I lived through it, worked in it.
Yeah, yours early, mine later. But
right. We did dementia caregiver solutions, and anybody, if you know anybody going through dementia or family members going through dementia, or if you'd like to learn more about dementia, that you can buy the book at Amazon, or you can go and get it for free, and we will just email it to your box. Just email you the PDF. And if you want that, so you can go buy it, Dementia Caregiver Solutions on Amazon or anywhere,
mm-hmm.
but you can get it for free there because we would just had that thing in common. So I just thought, I hope that doesn't crash the website or something. But anyway, you can have the book for free this year. How's that? Okay. This year?
Oh, that's great.
Just for us, because
back in the day, I read a book for caregivers.
Yeah,
it was called The 36-Hour Day, and it was terrifying.
Oh yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My wife, I mentioned, we did some caregiving for my mother, and my wife and I went to a meeting for a support group for dementia, for caregivers for Alzheimer's. It had a formal name, but anyway, again, terrifying, because one of the things I learned there, and probably in my first meeting, was that 60 plus, I think, % of caregivers of a dementia patient die before the dementia patient does.
Yep, it sure was. It was when I wrote Dementia Caregiver Solutions. It was right there, 62%. 62% of the caregivers pass away before the person with dementia. It is a stressful job.
Yes.
Yeah. Crazy. 24/7, never turns off. You can do it for a decade. And your brain's not built that way. I mean, you need some help.
And so learning how to intentionally create and use neuroplasticity to our benefit, we can avoid being in that shape, hopefully. I mean, there's no guarantees. I understand there's genetic stuff. There's all kinds of different diseases, but we have a lot of control over whether or not our cognitive function declines. That's your essential message, isn't it?
We have loads of, yes, that is my message, that cognitive decline is not an outcome. It's cognitive decline is in your hands. Now, you might do everything right and still have Alzheimer's, right? There's one guarantee. One, right? You're gonna die, right? That's it. There's one guarantee. But there's things that you can do that we can show that it improves brain with, CAT scans, PET scans of the brain. Well, I'm not there anymore. Okay. So CAT scans and PET scans of the brain that show it lighting up, and neurogenesis happening. And so we know now that we can do better. We can prevent it, and we can, like for some strokes or brain injuries, accidents, motorcycle accidents, something like that, we can use new neural pathways that the old ones don't work. We don't create anything new that works, but they can create new ones and use ulterior ones to do the same thing, to do the same function that the nerves that were damaged from injury.
Wow.
And that's a neuroplastic intentional neuroplastic intervention we can do.
Is that well known in the field of TBI? I think it's traumatic brain injury, TBI, right? Is that well known in the treatment of general treatment of TBI, that they can do these things, or is this also groundbreaking?
It is groundbreaking, and they are doing it, and that's the beauty of it. Is it's groundbreaking, and it's medicine. It's groundbreaking after 20 years because it takes so long to catch on or whatever, right? But this is rapid. There's some great strides being made in the implementation and use of tactical and real and designed interventions using neuroplasticity, science-based actions for it. So I think it was 306 or something like that, and I'm not sure. I didn't count every paper, and I might have counted some twice. So I'm not sure what the whole number was, but around 300 pieces of research in neuroscience, neuroplasticity, neurobiology, neurophysiology, neuropsychology, and neurology. I mean, it's about one a day. Or Monday through Friday, it's one a day plus 50. I mean, there is a lot of new research coming out. So, and the docs are on it. These guys are brilliant. These neuroscientists too are brilliant, and they're working interdisciplinary, with neurologists and nurses and physical therapists and things like that. And they are, you used to have a stroke and you were done. You were done. You were done. Your lungs would shut down. Your diaphragm would shut down because only half of it's working, and you would die of pneumonia within a week, or just die right there. And now we have people walking again, and it's makes me kind of emotional that this thing that I get to do is life changing to almost anybody who touches it. I mean, if you can't get some neuroplasticity to help you just be less stressed or enjoy life more, find pleasure in something again, learn easier, or learn something new that you always wanted to, or have better relationships, communication skills. If I had to get around in a bag and walk, it's just so much. It's just so incredible.
And you mentioned learning, and that's another torch I'm carrying, is that our speed of learning. We have to learn how to learn. That's the most valuable skill we can learn today, is to learn more efficiently, because there's so much coming at us. And it's not all taking in knowledge, because we've got AI and all this others, Google and everything. We can get information at our fingertips. We don't have to memorize everything like we used to, but we have to be able to think through it, and we've got to be able to process, and we need methods for that. And learning is so cool.
I tell you, when they say AI is going to take your job or something like that, I always kind of snicker at it. But if they say AI is going to make you dumber, I can prove it. When I was a kid, I knew 50 phone numbers because we didn't have a phone in our pocket. The phone had a curly little thing on it. It was in the house. When you called somebody, you called their home.
And you had a dial. You had to put your finger in a hole and turn a dial.
Right. And now all this information is at your fingertips, but we need to learn how to learn. The bummer part is, if we go back to 1850, we learned really well. They taught us really well how to learn, because you were going to die if you didn't learn how to evolve through thinking. Now you don't have to remember everyone's phone numbers. And now with AI, you don't even know how to write. Right? And fake it to everybody. Everybody's got an email thing, and you don't have to write a text back to people. I mean, for Pete's sake. And that stuff keeps you sharp. As a matter of fact, quit using your phone and get a pencil and a piece of paper, and have one little calendar of just your stuff that you love. Like, I'm going to go to the gym. Okay, you love that. You do it every day, no matter what anyway. This isn't new. You're just going to make a mental note of it, and you're going to write it out by hand. Or do a journal at night. Write out by hand. Remember we said more sensory inputs, the more neuroplasticity stimulus happens. So, there's tons of ways to work it into your life. But I got so excited, John. I forgot what I was going to say.
I think you were going to go to your 5-minute hack.
You want the 5-minute hack?
I don't know. Do I?
5-minute miracle?
I was looking at your book, or somewhere I found it. I've got it right here on a little piece of paper. 5-minute hack. Breathing, 1 minute. Gratitude, 1 minute. Journal, read, stretch. Right?
Oh, is that from Bounce Back Better, or is that
I think it might be from Bounce Back Better. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. We have a morning routine in there. An expensive morning routine. You do that morning routine with the guy that came up with that morning routine, and it's like $10,000, and he does it for you for a month. It's a great morning routine. I'm serious.
Gave it away.
It's in the book. Yeah. Page 16. I love that. I always say it's always page 16. If you're up on stage and somebody asks a question, page 16.
Well, that would sell some books.
Yeah. I really like that one.
This is so wonderful. I am so glad we met.
Me too. What a great time. One thing I was kind of thinking of, we've kind of talked about reducing your stress. Mm-hmm. That'll increase your cognitive health span. Mm-hmm. Improving your health. will increase your cognitive health span. So getting normal exercise, lots of sleep. We've tied a lot recently to sleep studies and cognitive health. Gut health, specifically, not just your physical health, but gut health is becoming more and more important. We found in neuroplasticity and neurology. So it's not a one size fits all, or it's not a super secret ever, right? So I know there's these, break a bad habit. Yep, I can do that. I can do that in about 3 minutes with you, right? You want to make it, you have a super, super hard decision. The whole board's together and you guys have been going crazy over it for last weekend. No problem. 15 minutes, I can walk you through something. But for everybody to solve everything, there's no quick fix. It's a lot like life. There's things that are important to you, you work at a little bit. And things that you work at a little bit and you get better at or start to be fun. And getting smarter, and maybe you're not literally actually smarter, but having better recall or seeing things that improve in places that are a concern for you, like, cognitive decline. That's a concern. But instead of worrying about that, stop worrying. And there's all sorts of stuff you can do for cognitive longevity. So I think a super important thing to take away, if you want to take something away, is that it's not a one size fits all or a single approach. This is everything we can do to help improve our neuroplasticity, right? Do you have to do all of it? No, you don't have to do anything. You can eat bacon and sit on the couch too. Like, you can do whatever you want to do. There's only one person that can make up your mind, right? If you wanted to do something, gut health is easy. Eating healthy is not as difficult as we make it. You take the government pyramid and you turn it upside down, and pretty much you'll not get diabetes, because 80% of the people that eat that pyramid get diabetes. So that's an easy fix, right? Take some vitamins, right? Some probiotics would help too. Go for a nice walk. Go for a nice walk, 30 minutes a day for your life. Right? That might be worth it. It's a simple thing. So it's a lot of little things, but boy, they have some synergy together. And my dad was a baseball coach, and I never got to play for him because he passed away when I was 10. But my dad would say, he was a Marine. He was a huge guy. But anyway, my dad, the baseball coach, he would say, consistency is the key to winning. Consistency is the key to success. And he was always trying to teach a lesson that wasn't about baseball, it seemed like to me, about life kind of, but I don't think he was, but it seemed that way to me at the time. But consistency was key, but the things you're consistent with are simple. As a matter of fact, if it's complicated, you're not going to be consistent.
True that.
We can change your neuroplasticity. We can improve it. It's not even that difficult. As a matter of fact, you do it yourself already. It is our call to action. And I'll tell it to you again, but you can do it. And it might be a multi-pronged approach, but it's so worth it for sure. You earn it and you're healthy. And if you've been someone like, me or John, who's taking care of someone with dementia, you'll be very, very pleased that you took a moment of time, just consistently, simple things to do consistently, that make a big difference compounding down the road. So that's kind of more important than a 5-minute hack, but they're all little 5-minute hacks, right? They're all just a lot of 5-minute hacks.
My point of view about what you're saying is that all these things that we can do, you mentioned there's like 4 pillars of lifestyle factors that the medical practice talks about, right? There's the rest, nutrition, exercise, and stress management. Those are the things that the patient has the most control over, and they have the biggest effect on disease progression. And they're the same things that are underlying what you're talking about. And they're things we can do, and they don't have to be complicated. That's where I think our society, we've gotten into this extreme thing. We talk about going to the gym, and it's got to be this massive, hour-long workout, pushing big weights. And, if it's not extreme, it doesn't matter, or it doesn't count. And that's so opposite from the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, it is so opposite from the truth. Just like social media is ongoing, unhealthy, unconscious comparison. It creates worry and anxiety and frustration and trying to attain something that's never going to happen, that isn't real. Right? You're comparing yourself to something that's not real. It's just it just beats you down, right? And it's just It's the same, and along that same vein. And there's no sense in trying to fix something that's not fixable. You take action on what you can take action on. You make plans for things you can't, right? And then we tend to be very, very caught up into all the actions going on around us, which we have no control over, the outside world. Ask any alcoholic, right? God grant me the strength to understand that I have no control. And you don't. The only control you do have, which you pay very little attention to, is your own actions and your own thoughts. You're all worried about everyone else. And you know what? It's hard to blame you for that, because even your autonomic nervous system, we were talking earlier that's not part of neuroplasticity, but the autonomic nervous system is your heart rate. Mm-hmm. John, I didn't think about my heart beating all night. Not once. Actually, all day. This is the first time I thought about my heart beating for 48 hours. I didn't even come close to dying, right? I mean, your brain's amazing. It is the always on, rush hour every day, super highway it's literally an electrochemical neurophysiological network. I mean, you can't sum it up in a small thing. It's just so amazing, right? And that's why I kind of start with that call to action. That's why our call to action is adopt intelligent cognitive communication that works with your neurology. You already know how to make a habit, right?
Yes.
To naturally create empowering habits leading to a destiny of design and a legacy of impact. And it's no harder to do that than to do nothing and have no legacy and no impact and no design at the end of your life and not remember it because you didn't improve your cognition. Right?
And it's simple. It's big words. Hard. It's big words. All this, neurogenesis and neuroplasticity and all that. But it really is, it's simple stuff, and it's simple actions that people can take.
Yep. Simple daily habits like everything else. 100%, John.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I can't wait for your book to come out and for this message to get out further. And I'll look forward to sending people to your website, over51.com.
Over51.com. It's all there.
It's all there.
It better be.
All right. We'll roll.
Thank you so much, John. What a pleasure. I appreciate it. It was an honor to be on your show. Look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.